Welcome everyone. Thank you so much for joining me for today's yoga session. My name is Colleen. I am with Shine On Yoga, and we have a Fritz here. He's just coming to say hi. Sam might come also, I don't know. He's usually in and out. But today I have an awesome session for you. It's going to be a little bit longer. You shouldn't need any props, but if you'd like to use some, the props I recommend are blocks, blankets, a bolster if you have it. And if you don't have any of those things, do not worry. You don't necessarily need them. We'll go through how to do it without them as well. But yeah, it's going to be a really strong class today. All right, so we're going to get started. We're going to come to a nice, comfortable seat on our mat. So whatever that looks like for you is fine. If you'd like to sit up on a blanket or a bolster, you're more than welcome to. I'm gonna try to avoid Fritz here. He'll eventually give up. But as you come into your seat, go ahead and let go of the day thus far. Let your shoulders drop down your back. Relax your forehead, relax your jaw. If it feels safe, you can close down the eyes or maybe just soften your gaze and take a moment to just focus on your breath. So nice big inhales, full extended exhales. Just taking a few moments to drop into our session today. And while you are taking a moment to drop into the session, I did pull a card for today's class, so I'm just going to give you that message while you're sitting there, and it might guide you in setting an intention if you'd like to. But the card I pulled today is Panther Spirit, and its message is to reclaim your power. Are you feeling shaky because you have made a bold move and have not seen confirmation that everything is going to work out? Or is fear holding you back? Are you afraid to act until all risk of failure has been removed? The moment when there is no risk whatsoever will never come. So follow the urging of your Panther Spirit within and look your fear in the eye. Have you ever heard the famous line, "The only thing we have to fear is fear itself"? Stare down your fear and it will retreat and make way for your courage to fill you head to toe. Perhaps you are afraid you can't trust the power that is rising in you, and you fear the qualities you will find within when you look deeply at why you resist the challenge before you. Every part of you, no matter how dark it may seem, has a light quality. So be bold and face it. Own the light and make peace with your shadow. Spirit trusts you, so be brave and trust yourself. Go ahead and keep on with the breath. Let's go ahead and take one more big inhale together. Exhale, go ahead and let it go. If your eyes are closed, you can slowly blink them open. We're going to go ahead and transition to all fours. If you have sensitive knees, you can take a blanket and put it underneath you just for a little extra padding. But we're going to set up in a nice tabletop position. So knees will be under our hip points, hands underneath our shoulders, spine nice and straight. You can really ground the tops of your feet into the mat. And we're going to warm up the spine with one of my favorites, cat-cow. If you know it, you can take it away. If you've never done it before, then I'll walk you through it. We'll do it all together. So on our inhale, we're going to drop our lower ribs, lift our chest, lift our tail, look forward. Coming into cow pose, you're going to feel a nice big stretch in your front body. Exhale, round through the spine, drop the head, drop the tail, feel a nice big stretch through your back body as you come into cat. As we inhale, we'll reverse that action, dropping our lower ribs, coming back down into cow. Then exhaling, rounding through the spine, coming up into cat. Go ahead and do a few just on your own inhales and exhales. And if one of these positions feels really great in your body, then go ahead and stay in it for a few breaths. You don't have to, it doesn't necessarily have to be one for one. Listen to your body and do what works best for you. Wherever you're at, go ahead and do one more round. And then after that final cat posture, go ahead and bring that back to stillness, to a nice flat back. All right, let's look at our hands. If they're right underneath our shoulder, like they should be, we're going to walk them just one handprint in front of that. So they're going to be a little bit away from the body. Let's go ahead and tuck our toes under, take a nice big inhale. And then as you exhale, we're going to lift up through the knees, straighten through the legs, press back with our hands, let those heels grow heavy as we move into our first downward facing dog. Once you're there, if you'd like to walk your dog, you can, just bending one knee and then the other. You're going to feel a nice big stretch in your calf muscles. And you'll want to keep breathing in this posture. Don't lose your breath. If you are walking your dog, go ahead and bring that to stillness. Let the heels grow heavy. It's okay if they don't reach the mat. Really press through those hands. Feel all of that length through your back body. You can let your head grow heavy. You can shake it yes. You can shake it no. Maybe so. Take one more inhale here. And as we do that, let's look at our hands. We're going to make our way up to the top of the mat. So you can go ahead and take a few baby steps. You can take a ton of steps. You can hop, jump, float, whatever feels good. You'll want to have a slight bend in your knees, and this posture can be difficult. So if you would like to use blocks, you can, to bring the floor up to you. If you don't have blocks, just bend your knees as generously as you'd like, and you can also use your thighs or your shins. Make sure you're not pressing on your knees though. So we're coming into a forward fold. We're just going to let the head hang. And again, you can have your knees as bent as you'd like. Just make sure if you're straightening them, you're not locking them out. You want a slight bend in them. All right, on an inhale, let's go ahead and come up halfway. Keep a nice flat back. And then on your exhale, let it go. Coming back into that forward fold. Just let your head hang. Breathe. Enjoy being off your wrist for a moment. Take one more inhale here. And then on the exhale, let's slowly roll it all the way up to standing until we're in a nice, strong mountain pose. Once you reach your mountain pose, you can roll your shoulders up, back, and down. If you need to fix any clothing, you can. If you need to give hands or feet a shake, you can. Do what you need to do so you can come back to your mountain pose, standing up nice and tall. Take a moment here of stillness. Let the hands just hang at your sides. We're going to take some nice big breaths here. And for anyone who says you can't do yoga, we're doing yoga right now and we're just standing up. So if you can stand up, you can do yoga. All right, our next inhale, go ahead and reach your arms all the way up to the sky. Exhale, we're going to shift our hips back, slight bend through the knees as we dive down to the floor, coming back into our forward fold. I'm going to knock over my blocks. Inhale, we'll come up halfway, nice flat back. And then exhale, let it go. Forward fold. Take some nice big breaths here again. Feel that stretch in your hamstrings. All right, when you're ready, let's make sure our hands are firmly planted into the mat. We are going to step our left foot back. Make sure that your feet are not on, make sure they're on like a train track, not a tightrope. So make sure there's some space there. You can lower onto that left knee. You can either keep your toes tucked or you can untuck them. We're going to come into a nice low lunge on this right leg. Now your front leg, whichever, for me it's my right now, make sure it's in a nice 90-degree angle. When you look down, you should be able to see your big toe. If you can't see your big toe, press that knee out to the side. Chest should be nice and lifted here. You can also, again, use blocks to bring the ground up to you if you're collapsing or rounding. You can use blocks to bring yourself up. If you don't have blocks, you can just come up a little bit. You don't have to dump all your weight down. You can just come up and rest your hand on your thigh here. So pick your option, whatever works best for you. Make sure your base is nice and set up, chest nice and lifted. And then we're going to take a few breaths here. Pull that right hip crease back, left hip crease forward. One more big inhale. And then as we exhale, start to straighten through that right leg. We're going to walk our fingertips back, peel those right toes up off the mat. Look forward, chest still nice and lifted, coming into a nice hamstring stretch on the right side. Keep breathing here. All right, when you're ready, we'll walk it forward again. Bend through that right knee. You can leave your foot untucked, or if it's tucked, or if it's, I'm going to say, if you want to lift up your knee, you can. You don't have to keep it on the floor. So you can tuck those toes and lift it up if you'd like, or you can leave it lowered. We're going to plant our left palm on the mat. Then we're going to take our right palm and reach up to the sky, coming into a little twist here. Again, that left leg can be lifted or lowered. Yogi's choice. One more big inhale. Exhale, we'll lower that right hand down. If your left leg is not up off the mat, go ahead and tuck those toes and lift that knee up. We're going to step our right foot back to meet our left, and we're coming into our first plank. Plank is not for you. You can lower to the knees, come into a little half plank. Either way, press back through those heels. Make sure your hips aren't dipping. Make sure they're not lifted. One nice straight line. You're going to breathe. We're going to shake. Working on our core strength. One more breath. And on your exhale, let's lower all the way down to the mat. You can belly flop if you'd like. We'll untuck those toes. Let the head rest. Take a breath here. And when you're ready, walk your hands underneath those shoulders, tuck those elbows into your side, and on an inhale, we're going to slowly look forward, lifting our forehead, little baby cobra. We're going to grow this later. I'm just kind of warming up that back a little bit more. When you're ready, we'll lower our foreheads back to the mat. Press back up to all fours. Let's tuck our toes under. Take a nice big inhale here. Exhale. Let's make our way back up into downward facing dog. Take a few breaths. You can walk your dog. You can leave it in stillness. If you have any discomfort in your wrist, you can press into your thumb, your pointer finger, and your middle finger. That'll help to take out some of that pressure. Your next inhale, look forward. And we're going to make our way back up to the top of the mat once again. Once you reach the top of the mat, go ahead and just roll all the way up. We're going to take a moment in mountain pose. Maybe shake out the hands if you're feeling any sort of stress in your wrist. Shake out your feet, shake out your legs. We've got a whole nother side to do. So we get to do that again. Thank you so much for the hearts on the live. I'm sorry, I'm kind of far away. I can't really see any comments, but I appreciate the love, the hearts. All right. Once you get all of the jitters out, go ahead and bring it to stillness. We'll take some breaths here. We'll mentally prepare for side 2. All right, when you're ready, let's reach our arms up to the sky. Nice big inhale. Exhale. We'll float it all the way back down, coming back into our forward fold. Inhale, come up halfway, flat back. Exhale, let it go. Forward fold. Take some breaths here. Let that head hang loose. All right, when you're ready, make sure your hands are planted firmly onto the mat. We're going to step our right foot back. Again, make sure your left foot is set up for your low lunge. And then you can lower that right foot and tuck or untuck the toes, or you can keep it lifted. Again, yogi's choice. Pull that right hip crease back, left hip crease forward, chest nice and lifted. Keep breathing. All right, when you're ready, let's start to straighten through that left leg. We'll peel those left toes up off the mat as we walk our hands back, coming into a hamstring stretch. Keep breathing here. All right, we'll walk it back forward, rebend through that left leg. We'll tuck our right toes under if they're not already. Lift that right knee up. Plant the right palm onto the mat. And then we're going to lift our left hand up to the sky, twisting towards our left leg. Breathe here. Nice big breaths. Right, after that next exhale, go ahead and come back to that lunge position. We'll step our left foot back to meet our right, coming back into plank, or you can lower into half plank. Take some nice big breaths here. One more big inhale. And then exhale, we'll lower all the way down to the mat, lowering that forehead. On an inhale, we'll rise up into that baby cobra, or if you'd like a little bit more, press through the hands, rise up a little further, coming up into a larger cobra. If you feel any crunchiness in your back, lower down a little bit. You don't have to come up as high. Also, if you're dropping down into your shoulders, trying to come up higher, roll those shoulder blades back, really lift your chest forward. And you can always drop down a little bit. It's all right. Breathe here. When you're ready, let it go. All right, we're gonna make our way back into downward facing dog. You can go through all fours like we did before, or I'm gonna show you another option. So if you're coming with me, we're gonna tuck our toes under, take a nice big inhale here. And then as we exhale, we're gonna press away from the ground and come up into a plank. Inhale again. And then on the exhale, we'll lift our hips up and back, coming back into our downward facing dog. Take some nice big breaths here. Now from here, make sure your left foot is firmly planted into the mat. On an inhale, we're going to lift our right foot up. Keep those toes dialed down. As you exhale, bend through your front knee, bring it in towards your chest. Look forward, shift your weight forward, and we're going to step our right foot in between our hands. We want to keep a nice bend in that right foot. Maybe step your left foot in a little bit and point your toes out to that outer left corner. From here, we're going to rise up and come into a warrior two. So you might need to readjust from where we were. I'm going to. All right. So again, our front leg, we want to make sure it's at a 90-degree angle. It is okay if this thigh is not parallel to the mat. We're working towards that. Make sure you can see your big toe. Can't press that knee out a ways. And then that back foot can be in a little bit. Doesn't have to be clear out towards the edge of the mat. And you just want to angle those toes at a 45-degree angle. Front of your hips will be towards the front or this long edge of your mat. And you want to make sure your body is nice and centered. You don't want to be going too far forward or too far back. Nice and centered here. All right, so we have our foundation set. So you can stay here with the arms, you can bring them to prayer, or you can stretch them out to either side, imagining that you are pinching a pencil in between your shoulder blades. Keeping your chest nice and lifted. And you can look out over your right hand here. Take a few moments to breathe in our warrior two. From here, reach your right hand forward like someone is grabbing your right hand. And then we're going to lift our right palm up to the sky, drop that left palm down, coming into a peaceful warrior. Lift your chest up, feel that nice stretch through the front body. Try not to move your legs. Breathe. And then from there, we're going to come back through warrior two. Drop that right hand to your right thigh. Your left hand can be on your left thigh here. And then we're going to spiral our heart up towards the sky again. Now, you might just want to stay here, and that is perfectly okay. If you'd like to go a little further in your extended side angle, you can use a block here. Or if you're able to, you can always bring your hand down to the mat. You can reach your left hand up. You can stretch it out alongside you. So you can choose your option. Take a few breaths here. One more big inhale. And then exhale. We're going to spiral our heart back down towards the mat. You can pivot on that left foot. You might have to kick it out a little bit. Coming back into this low lunge position. And we'll step our right foot back to meet our left. Coming back into our plank. Take a few breaths here. We'll lower all the way down to the mat. Your next inhale, rise up into Cobra, your version. We'll exhale. I'll meet you guys in downward facing dog. All right, after a few breaths in downward facing dog, plant your right foot into the mat. We'll lift our left toes up, keep those toes dialed down. Exhale, we'll bend that knee in towards our chest, shift forward, look forward. We'll step our left foot in between our hands. Go ahead and pivot on that back foot, and we'll find our warrior two on our opposite side. So make sure you're pinching that pencil. Make sure your foundation is set up here. We'll breathe. When you're ready, we're going to come into peaceful warrior. So lift that left palm up towards the sky. Look up towards it. Let your right hand fall down. Breathe. And then when you're ready, we'll come into our version of our side angle. So you can bring your left forearm to that left knee. Spiral your chest up, look towards the sky. Hand can be lifted overhead or it can go across. You can also drop your hand down towards the inside of your leg. You can use blocks. Keep breathing here. Feel that nice stretch. And then when you're ready, we'll lower our left hand to the mat, frame that foot, pivot on that back foot. We'll step it back to plank and breathe. When you're ready, we'll lower down to the belly. Inhale, rising back up into Cobra. We're going to get off of our hands soon, I promise. And when you're ready, lower it back down. All right, I will meet you guys in downward facing dog again. Take a few breaths once you get there. All right, let's get off these hands. When you're ready, look forward. We're going to make our way to the top of the mat once again. Coming back into our forward fold. Once you're there, on an inhale, we'll come up halfway, nice flat back. Exhale, let it go. Take some nice big breaths here. And when you're ready, on your next exhale, we're going to slowly roll it all the way up until we're standing in our mountain pose. Again, make any adjustments that you need to or feel like you need to. When you're ready, we'll bring that into stillness. All right. From here, if you're not turned towards the long edge of your mat, you can join me. And we're going to bring our feet wide. They don't have to be super wide, but you do want them a little bit wider than your hips or your accessories to your hips. So you might have to adjust, but come into a semi-wide stance. Again, you don't have to do the splits or anything. From here, we're going to start to look forward like we're looking in a pond. Again, slight bend in your knees here. And we're going to shift our weight forward, looking into that pond. Now you may stop when you're halfway here, and that's fine. If you'd like to keep going, just keep on lowering down towards the mat until your head is reaching towards that mat. Again, if you'd like, you can use blocks here to bring the ground up to you if this isn't a good position or a posture for you. You also don't have to come as far down. Just make sure you're not pressing on your knees if you are using your body as an assist. If your hands are able to come to the mat, work to walk them back towards the inside of your arches. And then eventually you can work to bring your head to the mat, maybe your forearms, and then maybe your head. Maybe eventually you do a headstand. But for today, just feel this nice big stretch and this wide-legged forward fold. Keep breathing. All right, from here we're going to start to walk it back up. So go ahead, if you're all the way down, start to come up. And then when you're ready to return, really engage those abs. We're going to come up. Try and keep as flat of a back as you can as you come all the way up. Whew, feeling that stretch. Now wherever you're at, keep your feet nice and wide. Now we're going to stretch our arms out nice and wide, taking up a whole lot of space, coming into star pose. Nice big breaths here. This is a great posture if you're feeling a little unsure. This is a good confidence boosting pose that you can do before a meeting or before something you're nervous about. One more big inhale, and then exhale, we'll let it go. Shake it out. We'll walk our feet back together. Let's come back up to the top of our mat. And we're going to start to make our way back down towards our mat. But we won't be going through any of those flows like we did before. We are, though, going to work on strengthening our legs. So as you stand here, start to sink back like you're sitting in a chair. So start to bend the knees and start to sink back. Now really put your weight in your heels. If you're not quite sure how to navigate that, lift your toes up off the mat, and that's going to force you to put your weight in your heels. So you can do that. Keep your chest nice and lifted, lengthen through the back, so you don't need to press it out. So nice length there. And we're coming into a nice little chair pose here. So with your hands, you can keep them at heart center, or you can stretch them out in front of you. Sink nice and low. We're going to breathe here. And when you're ready, let's lower our hands to the mat, straighten through the legs, forward fold, let that go. Inhale, come up halfway, flat back. Exhale, forward fold. Take some nice big breaths here. All right, when you're ready, plant your palms on the mat. We'll step one foot back, then the other, coming into our last plank of class. Really press away from your mat. If you'd like to go into half plank, do it. But since this is the last one, if you haven't come into full plank yet, I encourage you to try it. One more big inhale. And exhale, we'll lower all the way down to the mat. Inhale, rise up into your version of cobra, feeling a nice big stretch through that front body. Exhale, lower it back down. And from here, go ahead and press up to all fours. Bring your knees as wide as the mat, big toes to touch. Inhale, look forward. Exhale, sink those hips down towards your heels. Walk your fingertips forward. Let your head melt to the mat. Extended child's pose. Take a rest. Breathe. All right, when you're ready, we are going to walk ourselves back up. We're going to turn over onto our backs. We're going to do a little bit of extra core work. We've been working on it every week. And we are going to stretch out the hips a little bit more and just stretch out the back before we conclude. So if while you are repositioning, if you'd like to get a drink, now is a great time. Make sure to drink your water. If you are not, especially after this class, we're moving a lot of energy around, so make sure you're hydrated. Please, you'll feel better. All right, so we're going to come to our backs. Make sure that that lower back is nice and flush with the mat. You can lift your hips up and down a little bit and kind of play with rocking your pelvis back and forth until you feel that connection. And every week we've been working on our yogi bicycles. So we're going to do that again this week. It's making a return appearance. If you don't know what a yogi bicycle is, I'm going to go through it real quick and then we'll do it all together. But you're going to bring your knees in to start. Hands behind the head. We're going to lift up. Right knee, or right elbow, left knee. We'll stretch our right leg out. And then we'll switch. Now, if this isn't for you, you can lose the legs and just twist, coming through center for a lower bicycle. So you can pick your option. We've been doing it for about 30 seconds. Let's try 45 seconds this week. I think we can do it. Mentally prepare. We have 5 seconds, so get in your position. 3, 2, 1, go. So do as many as you'd like. There's Chai. Great. Keep going. We have about 30 more seconds. Keep it moving. Oh, these two do not get along, so this is great. Fritz, no. Sam, no. Here's Sam also, so you guys get the whole crew. 6 more seconds. 3, 2, 1. Let it go. Take a rest. Let everything fall open. I'm going to take this cat. I'll be right back. Pardon the interruption. All right, we did it. I ran around a little bit more after that. But take a moment, let your feet hit the mat. Keep your knees bent. Take a little breath here. And then from here, let's walk our feet together. Really arch to arch. And then you can let your knees fall to either side. We're going to come into a reclined cobbler's pose. Now, this is great again if you have blocks. You can bring the blocks to either side of those legs and bring the ground up to you. So that is an excellent option. Otherwise, just let your knees fall as open as they do in your body. We're going to breathe into this, feeling that nice stretch. You can have your hands on your belly. You can have them on your thighs. They can be at your side, wherever it feels natural and good for you. Keep breathing here. All right, when you're ready, we're gonna go ahead and bring the knees back up towards the ceiling, and then go ahead and give yourself a nice big hug here. Take a breath in. And then from here, let go of those legs. Let them fall to either side, so they can fall to the left or the right, whatever feels good to you. Open your arms out to the side. Feel a nice twist in that lower back. You can look over towards your right hand if your legs are going towards the left. After a few breaths, go ahead and bring it back to center. You can give yourself another squeeze if you'd like, and we'll move it to the other side. Too much stuff over here. I'm just going to use my bolster for this side. This is another position. If you have a bolster or a blanket, you can just use that. I'm using it just because it's in my way. When you're ready, we'll return to center again. Go ahead and give yourself one more hug here. And from here, actually squeeze your head in towards your knees, squeeze your feet, squeeze your face, squeeze your fists. Tense up every muscle in your body. Just tense it all up, tense it all up. Really squeeze everything in. And then on your next exhale, let it all go. Let your feet fall long and away from you. Let your hands take up space. Take up space on your mat. Breathe. We're coming into our final posture, Shavasana, or the corpse pose. If you'd like to use any props, feel free to grab them and get yourself set up. Otherwise, if it feels safe in your body, you can close down the eyes. We're going to take a few deep breaths here. And just thank ourselves and our body for all of that work it put in. It was not an easy practice today. You definitely had to harness your power. I am going to go silent for a moment, just so you can have time to reflect on your own. But know that I am here, I am holding space for you, and I will guide you out of this final posture momentarily. If you would like to stay in Shavasana, then go ahead and stay as long as time allows. If you need to continue on with your day or evening, then slowly start to deepen your breaths. Begin to wiggle fingers and toes, bringing some life back into them. When you feel ready, go ahead and plant one foot on the mat and then the other. Keep the knees bent. Just take a few breaths here. And whenever you feel ready, I invite you to go ahead and roll onto your favorite side. Come into a little fetal position and just take a few nice big inhales and exhales there. And as soon as you feel ready, you can go ahead and return to a nice comfortable seat. Please bring your head and neck up last. And if your eyes are still closed, you can open them up to the room around you. Well, I hope you feel great after that yoga practice. I hope you feel strong and also just nice and stretched out and just a little bit more heat, a little bit more fire. I will be back next week with a brand new practice. So if you are joining me on the live, I'm usually here on Wednesdays at 4:30 Central Time is when we start. If you did not catch this whole class and you'd like to watch it, I do have a YouTube channel called Shine On Yoga LLC. The link for that is in my bio. For those of you watching the replay, just know you had quite a few people on here that joined you and did the practice live, so you were not practicing alone, even if you're practicing at home. So I hope you all enjoyed this practice. I hope you have a great rest of your week. I'll see you guys next week. Namaste.